In the United States, the ongoing debate over climate change policy has reached a critical juncture, reflecting a deep-seated ideological divide that permeates the nation's political landscape. As scientific evidence overwhelmingly points to the urgent need for decisive action to curb greenhouse gas emissions, American lawmakers, federal agencies, and state governments are grappling with how to transition the world's largest economy away from its heavy reliance on fossil fuels. The conversation is no longer just about whether climate change is real, but about the economic, social, and geopolitical implications of the proposed solutions. From the bustling corridors of Washington, D.C., to the innovative hubs of Silicon Valley and the agricultural heartlands of the Midwest, a complex and often contentious narrative is unfolding, one that will ultimately define America's role in a rapidly warming world and shape the legacy it leaves for future generations. The path forward is fraught with challenges, balancing the imperatives of environmental stewardship with the demands of economic growth and energy security. The federal approach to climate policy in the United States has been characterized by a pendulum swing, heavily dependent on the administration in power. The executive branch holds significant sway through agencies like the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA), which is empowered by the Clean Air Act to regulate pollutants, including greenhouse gases. Landmark policies, such as the Clean Power Plan, introduced during the Obama administration, aimed to set the first-ever national limits on carbon pollution from power plants, signaling a major federal commitment to climate action. However, this policy faced legal challenges and was later repealed and replaced by the subsequent administration with the less stringent Affordable Clean Energy Rule, illustrating the volatility of a regulatory-driven strategy. This back and forth has created uncertainty for industries, investors, and international partners, hindering long-term planning and investment in clean energy infrastructure. The reliance on executive orders and agency rulemaking, while a powerful tool, underscores the lack of a durable, congressionally mandated framework for climate action, leaving foundational policies vulnerable to reversal with each election cycle. More recently, the legislative branch has taken a more prominent role with the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act (IRA) of 2022. Widely regarded as the most significant climate legislation in U.S. history, this law represents a strategic shift in approach, moving away from a punitive stick model of carbon taxes or caps and toward an incentive-based carrot model. The IRA allocates hundreds of billions of dollars in tax credits, grants, and loan guarantees to accelerate the deployment of clean energy technologies, from solar and wind power to electric vehicles and domestic manufacturing of their components. The policy is designed to catalyze private investment, create green jobs, and enhance American energy independence while simultaneously driving down emissions. For example, tax credits for purchasing new and used electric vehicles aim to make them more accessible to the average consumer, while incentives for home energy efficiency upgrades such as heat pumps and solar panels empower individuals to participate directly in the energy transition. The long-term impact of the IRA will depend on its effective implementation and the ability of the private sector to leverage these incentives at scale. but its passage marks a watershed moment anchoring U.S. climate policy in a powerful economic and industrial strategy. In the absence of consistent federal leadership over the past decades, states have emerged as crucial laboratories for climate policy innovation. This subnational action has created a diverse and complex patchwork of regulations and initiatives across the country. States like California have long been at the forefront, establishing ambitious economy-wide emissions reduction targets, implementing a cap-and-trade program, and setting stringent vehicle emissions standards that have been adopted by numerous other states. In the Northeast, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, RGGI, represents a successful multi-state cap-and-invest program for the power sector, demonstrating the viability of regional cooperation. Other states, from Washington and Colorado to Illinois and New York, have passed their own 100% clean electricity mandates, driving significant investment in renewable energy. This state-level leadership has not only resulted in tangible emissions reductions, but has also built political momentum and provided proof of concept for policies that could eventually be adopted at the federal level. However, this state-by-state approach also creates an uneven playing field for businesses and can lead to inefficiencies, highlighting the persistent need for a cohesive national strategy to supplement and harmonize these regional efforts beyond government action. The private sector and technological innovation are playing an increasingly pivotal role in addressing the climate challenge. American corporations, facing pressure from investors, consumers, and their own employees, are setting ambitious voluntary emissions reduction targets and investing heavily in sustainability. Major technology companies are leading the charge, not only by powering their massive data centers with renewable energy, but also by investing in breakthrough climate technologies. Venture capital is flowing into startups focused on everything from carbon capture and long-duration energy storage to sustainable aviation fuel and alternative proteins. The U.S. innovation ecosystem, with its world-class universities and national laboratories, continues to be a driving force in the development of next-generation clean technologies. This wave of private sector momentum is critical, as public policy alone cannot achieve the necessary speed and scale of transformation. The synergy between government incentives, like those in the IRA, and corporate ambition is creating a powerful engine for decarbonization, turning what was once seen as a purely environmental issue into a major economic opportunity for American industry and ingenuity. Despite this progress, the path to a decarbonized American economy is fraught with significant hurdles and deeply entrenched opposition. The fossil fuel industry, with its long history of economic and political influence, continues to advocate for its interests, often working to slow the transition to clean energy. Political polarization remains a major obstacle, with climate change often framed as a partisan issue rather than a shared national challenge. This divide makes it difficult to build the broad, bipartisan consensus needed for durable, long-term policy solutions. Furthermore, the transition presents real economic challenges for communities historically dependent on coal, oil, and gas extraction, raising critical questions of a just transition and the need for policies that support affected workers and regions. The sheer scale of the task is also daunting, requiring the rapid build-out of new infrastructure, from transmission lines to EV charging networks, which can face local opposition and permitting delays. Navigating these complex social, political, and economic headwinds will be just as important as developing the right technologies and policies. Looking ahead, the direction of U.S. climate policy will continue to be a central theme in the nation's political and economic discourse. The effectiveness of the Inflation Reduction Act will be closely scrutinized, with its success hinging on streamlined implementation, the resilience of supply chains, and the sustained appetite of private investors. Future administrations and Congresses will face decisions about whether to build upon, modify, or dismantle this framework. Internationally, the credibility of the United States as a climate leader depends on its ability to meet its stated emissions reduction targets under the Paris Agreement. The country's performance will have a significant impact on global climate negotiations and the willingness of other major emitters to increase their own ambition. The interplay between federal mandates, state-level action, and private sector innovation will continue to shape the trajectory of America's energy future. As the impacts of climate change from more extreme weather events to rising sea levels become increasingly apparent, the pressure for more comprehensive and accelerated action is only expected to grow. The journey is far from over, and the choices made in the coming years will be decisive in determining whether the United States can successfully navigate the profound challenges and opportunities of the 21st century as defining issue.